You are the only participant in the conference. The recording has started. All participants are muted, and they can unmute themselves.
Giving you the real from A to Z surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. News, updates, rumors, transactions, takes, and more. So strap up, Cowboys Nation, and start your day off with A to Z Sports. Live with Will Steele.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go. Good morning, good people. Welcome to A to Z Sports Live, presented by the Cochran Firm and Boston Scientific. We're streaming live on YouTube and Facebook. And of course, I am your host, Will Skywalker Steele. Boom! Happy Thursday. It's a beautiful Thursday, September 29th. Few days away from the Cowboys matching up with the Washington football politicians. We're going to detail the Cowboys defense against old Carson Wentz. Welcome back. Welcome back. We're going to welcome him back for sure. We are going to welcome him back. In the roundup, we got some injury updates. A couple starters may be returning, but one of them ruled out completely, I think. And before we get into all the breakdowns of the matchups, I got a leftover plate to give out. I do. Last week we did the leftover situation. I like that. I want to continue to do that after W's, right? So I got a leftover plate. Notice I said plate. Last week it was multiple. This week is just one. That's not a knock on anybody. I just feel like this person needs to be featured. So we'll get into that. And if you want, you can call in to the Pulse of the Nation phone line, powered by the Cochran Firm, 351-999-3787. Shout out to my squad in the building.
Bomb Squad!
Praise up to my man, Stephen White. I believe he said his daughter or family member is dealing with some surgery. Also, prayers up to those in South Florida dealing with the hurricane situation. And, of course, rest in peace to Coolio, who passed away yesterday. That sucked because growing up, I grew up on Coolio, not just as a hip hop artist, but of course the Keenan and Kel intro with Coolio in it. So that's pretty sad. He was only 59. So prayers to all those involved down there in South Florida, my guy Stephen White, and rest in peace to my man Coolio. Yeah, I hate to kind of turn it there, but it kind of sucked. You know what I mean? Kind of sucked. But listen, y'all, I appreciate y'all being here this morning. It's going to be a straightforward show. We're starting to get to that point in the season where we got that good chemistry. We got that good synergy and a structure each week. And as long as we stick to that, I think we're going to have some fantastic shows. I got some fantastic, research for you guys today. We got some tape. We're going to talk about that damn offensive line over there in Washington and why I think the Cowboys are going to eat and why I think a different part of this defense is going to eat that really hasn't yet. It really hasn't yet. And that's not a knock, but stay tuned. Stay tuned. What's good, Towboat? C. Burleson in the building. Iceberg Q, Jalen Barley, Lemitra, Stephen White, Cole Jelly, Joe Taylor, TC915. My bro, Lee in the building. Dallas Cowboys hard. Hit us. Okay, it's your lady, Stephen White. Okay, so prayers up to your lady, man. Alpha said, telling your age, Sky. Kinda, with the Coolio situation. Kinda. And then many more coming through. I appreciate y'all, Gotti Baby, Marcelo B, my man L in the building, Iceberg Q, Mark Quinn, Peasy, all y'all. Thank y'all for being here. Let's get this show on the road. If you want to keep up with me and the Cowboys or A to Z Sports Dallas, you can. Just check out the DFW turf ticker, the #1 artificial turf in the DFW area. It's got my Twitter on there. It's got the website on there. All the good stuff that you need to keep up with what we're doing here and what I'm doing personally around the Cowboys. All right, let's get this show on the road. I'm excited.
It's time! It's time! It's time! It's time!
Greatest intro of all time, Keenan and Kel.
It's time. It's time.
It is time for.
It's time for the morning roundup. Round 'em up, boys.
Oh, they do it. Hey, oh, they do it.
Hey. Yo, Dak. Dak apparently, I think, ruled himself out according to Clarence Hill against Washington. This is what Clarence Hill said on his Twitter. You can officially rule Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott out of the Washington game. Not that there was a realistic chance of him playing anyway. That goes back to the gamesmanship I talked about last week. Prescott said he won't start throwing until the end of the week. He's been soft-tossing the footballs, but won't start real throwing until the end of the week. So that's pretty much he's done, right? Like, he's not going to play. And I don't think next week is as guaranteed as I thought. If he's not going to start truly looking to rip the ball at the end of the week, we'll see where he's at next Wednesday after this week. And obviously where the Cowboys are at as well. But don't expect Dak back this week, maybe next week. I'd imagine at the very latest, the Eagles game. Sticking with the injury situation, the first injury report did come out. And you saw a couple names on there. DeMarcus Lawrence popped up as limited. Remember, he went out for a few plays or a few series on Monday night with that foot situation. And I think they're trying to remain cautious. By the way, yesterday's practice was not some crazy practice. It was more of a walkthrough. I'm trying to find this Michael Gelkin tweet to explain exactly what he said. Let's see here. Okay. These player participation levels are estimates. The Cowboys held a light workout while coming off a road game Monday night. Activity to ramp up Thursday. So today is kind of the day they'll really get some things going. But nonetheless, he was limited. Dalton Schultz was limited. Who else we got? Jaron Kearse and Connor McGovern. Kearse tweeted out yesterday the whole, devil emoji, basically saying, "Hey, I'm back, but I ain't quite back, but I'm back." So we'll see how he fares throughout the rest of the week, but I think he'll be returning. And then you got Connor McGovern. That one is interesting because now we have a left guard conundrum with this whole left tackle dilemma put to rest. What do we do at left guard? And in a way, it's a good problem as long as Jason Peters continues to show that, he can take the right steps in the right direction at left guard. Matt Forniak, which I believed he was going to play his best game because of the matchup, he had his best game. against the New York Giants. Still, he is your third guard, nonetheless, possibly fourth guard if you look at Jason Peters being a guard. But what do? They just kind of say, okay, we're going to let Matt Forniak stay out there against pretty damn good interior defensive line. Or do they throw Jason Peters out there? Or is Connor McGovern coming back to start? We've switched the dilemma at left tackle, and now it's at left guard. I don't think anybody can be mad at that situation because your left tackle spot is not a problem, which is the more serious issue, right? And rounding out the roundup in regards to the injury situation is Michael Gallup. He spoke yesterday to the media about why he sat out. I have it here. Gallup is clearing the mental hurdle. We talk about this a lot on this channel about players who suffer significant injuries like this. It's usually the mental aspect at the end of everything that they have to get over. This is what he said about his decision. He said it was his decision to not play last week. Not the team, not the doctors, his decision. He said, we've got a lot of games left to play, and I'm trying to be out there the whole time. I saw the Chris Godwin injury, and that's tough. It makes you think a little differently about your recovery. I'm just trying to avoid that for sure. He basically doesn't want to overcompensate, and that happens. That happened with Dak Prescott with his ankle. It probably happened with Chris Godwin. It's kind of a natural thing when you're trying not to injure what you already injured. Something else may happen, or it's not as strong around that area as it used to be. And I think Gallup was trying to get over that hurdle of and I'm glad, honestly. I said this on 4th and Long, Cowboys 4th and Long with my man Jesse. I'm actually glad he sat out last week due to MetLife Stadium in their field, which is notorious to be a terrible field. And we saw what happened to Sterling Shepard. Looked like somebody shot him and nobody was around him. Not saying that would have happened to Gallup. I'm just saying that field is weird. Players don't like playing on that field. This is what Gallup also had to say. This is the hardest part. It's really just mental now. You know you're healthy and everything's good. It's just mental now. You've got to make sure you feel like your old self. And Coach Mike McCarthy said that he was out there at practice doing Michael Gallup things, going up for the rock, coming down, toe tapping, looking like Michael Gallup. But it's never how you look, man. It's how you feel mentally that gets you over that last hurdle to get back to yourself. So that's this week's roundup, or this morning's roundup, Cowboys Nation. Sam said turf is ass. Yeah, most players do not like playing on turf. They just don't. They just don't. Did I see that Burrows thinks we missed the field goal? He's still talking about that? That's week 2. We on to week 4, Joe. Come on, man. We're on to Cincinnati. We're not on to Cincinnati. We're on to Washington. And we're going to get to that here in a second. But I'm going to get to the chat before I move on and hand out my leftover plate. I wonder who y'all think the plate is. Let me ask you, who do y'all think my leftover plate is for? Remember, it's not multiple people. It's one. Just one person. One person. Trust issues with the knee for now. I've had 5 ACLs. Yeah, man, it's all about the mental. It's all about the mental. Hold that L. MG's back. Turpin. We got Dorrance. No, not Maher, but again, Maher definitely deserves some credit this year. Wilson or Smith? Nobody is. Jason Peters, Diggs. We just gonna name everybody. Nope. So the leftover plate is not Dorrance. It's not Dono. It's not Big Bo, right? Those guys and others definitely deserve it. And to be honest with you, they went on that walk, came back, and they took their plate. They took their plate. You know why they took their plate. You know why they took their plate. But the leftover plate that I'm going to give out to is to Malik Hooker. Well, why Malik? Now, Malik used to go on those walks. Don't get it twisted. Malik goes on those walks when he was a buck. But now Malik is counseling these young bucks, right? Now he's like, hey, cuz, listen, do your thing on the walks now. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Just make sure you're looking out for your mama. Make sure you're doing good in school. You know? That's Malik now. And versus the Giants, with Jaron Curse out, not just the Giants, the last 2 weeks, we've seen Malik Hooker step up as a leader, getting that green dot, rallying the troops. And yesterday when the Cowboys put out their sounds from the sideline, I'm so glad that they decided to feature Malik Hooker. Because he, in my opinion, he deserved to have the spotlight on him a little bit for being able to get the respect and earn the respect of that group. Not just the DBs, but the defense in general. Take a listen to the sounds of the sideline clip of, I cut up the clip of Malik Hooker on Monday.
This still ain't our level. Take that up another notch, bro. This is what's probably gonna happen, bro. They probably gonna do high up offense right here in tempo. Yep. That's the only way they can stay in and get plays. So we got to get on the ball, get lined up, and really focusing on the details, communicate. And first, and most of all, bro, we got to tackle. That's it. Whatever y'all do best, do it. Yep.
Whatever y'all do best, do it. One of the things that continues to impress me about Malik's second stint, basically, in the NFL, I say stint, I shouldn't say stint, but, second go about in the NFL with the Cowboys, is his physicality. Like, he just continues to show that I'm not just a rangy safety. It's hard to be both. And don't get it twisted. He's 100% a very good rangy safety. Now, the box score is not going to show it. Oh, he only had 4 tackles. But it was tackles like that. Those tackles sends messages that, dang, I only got to worry about number 6 taking my head off or decapitating me or hitting me or wrapping me up. But they free safety doing it too. And another thing I think that goes unnoticed is that, and this happens a lot with deep safeties, and it won't show up on the box score. He will make a quarterback hold that rock an extra tick or completely come off of his read. Look at this right here, though. Get out of here, little man. It's a free safety. But that goes unnoticed a lot. It's not going to show up in a box score. It's not going to be a sexy play. You're not going to talk about it. You're not going to highlight it. But there were multiple times Daniel Jones wanted to go deep. But the play between Malik Hooker and Diggs, or Malik Hooker and AB playing well together, he had to come off of it. He just does his job well, Cowboys Nation. And if you remember last year, once KZ lost his ways, you saw a lot of deep balls over top of his head. You're not seeing that in the first 3 weeks. You're just not. Yeah, you might have got a deep ball on AB one-on-one, but that wasn't Malik's responsibility. We saw too many times last year KZ and Diggs just not on the same page. I'm not seeing that breakdown. Now, this is year 2 of the defense. He's year 2 in it, but I also think he's just a better player in general. He just needed to get over the mental hurdle of his own injuries. So, Malik Hooker, man, absolutely deserves a plate. Might have not been at the big boy table. That's cool. He the older cuz that's counseling the younger cousins on the walk. And that's no disrespect to the others that y'all talked about. I just think he deserved to get a shot out here. You know what I mean? He deserved it. Let's get back to this chat here. I had a feeling as I was putting these clips together with Malik Hooker, I had a feeling that a few of y'all would bring up LVE. It didn't look good on a couple of them Jones, but Marcus said LVE needs to sit down. He can't disengage from blocks. Been very interesting up and down. Who's the other? I saw somebody else say something about LVE. Oh, no. Dallas Cowboys hard hitter said, I'm seeing the OJ Lou getting beat, etc. Man, that slot is a tough one. That slot is tough. But put it this way, J. Lou is an upgradable piece. Right? Is an upgradable piece. But I'm not down on J. Lou's play this year so far. It's hard to be down on many players on defense in general. But I get it. He's an upgradable piece for sure. Joe said, I'm happy Hooker got healthy and took KZ's spot. We need that reliable. Yeah. When it's so funny because when we were, I don't use the word debating, but when the Cowboys said, hey, we're bringing KZ in for a visit, we're bringing Hooker in for a visit, most of us were like, Malik Hooker. Then we got both of them. And KZ basically kept his job, but Malik was starting to get more integrated as the season went on and getting over his injury. And I think coming into this offseason, he said, oh, I'm back. Like, I'm not dealing with that mental aspect. I'm back. And I think you're seeing it this year. Why can we have this defense when Dak had weapons? Oh, it's only the second year in his defense. The defense was fine last year. It wasn't like this, but it was fine last year. I'm not gonna do that, you know. But I feel you. I had a 4-1-2 calling in. Eagles are trash said Donovan Wilson and Noah Brown are two players I'm super stoked have performed and sustained giving their opportunity. Dono to me is not a shock. Y'all know how I feel about Dono. Noah, I use the word proud. Is that the word? I don't want to use the word proud because that ain't my guy to be like proud, but I am pleasantly surprised in a way that Noah is stepping up to that to fulfill the wide receiver 2 duties, but while also doing the wide receiver 4 and 5 nasty things like blocking and special teams and whatnot. I wonder what they're going to do with them, though. When Michael Gallup gets back, he's not a slot dude. Lamb can go in the slot, so he could do that, and he can stay out there as a. I wouldn't know it'd be a Z then, right? It'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to see what he does. Like I said, we do got a caller on the horn. Let's get to 412 in a second. Calling in on the Pulse of the Nation hotline presented by the Cochran Firm. I tell y'all every time, man, since 2005, Brian and Larry have handled the most challenging civil cases and fought for anyone in the DFW area community that reaches out to these guys. All of the Cochran Firm civil cases are handled on a contingent fee basis. That means fraud, wrongful death, truck, automobile accidents. So, you know, in Dallas, a lot of y'all can't drive. So somebody run you off the road, you get into a fender bender, they ain't got insurance or something weird's happening. Reach out to the Cochran Firm, 1-800-THE-FIRM, or schedule your free consultation today at CochranTexas.com. And 412 hung up. I don't know what 412 is doing here. Dallas Cowboys hard-hitter said, we need Deron Bland or Bell or Kelvin Joseph in the slot for J. Lou. I will put Joseph out there. I want to see what Deron Bland has in the slot because he looked damn good in the slot in preseason. Kelvin Joseph, they're just not doing slot things with Kelvin Joseph. When Diggs got dinged up in that game, Kelvin Joseph went out on the boundary to play cornerback. And we talked about it last year. He only played 7 snaps in the slot and like over 130 snaps outside. So he's, for whatever reason, they don't view him as a slot guy. But Deron Bland is. Deron Bland is. All right. Do we want to move on here? Why is he texting me during this show? Do we want to move on here to the Cowboys defense versus the Washington football people's offense? Let's do that. Let's go ahead and do that here. And as always, we like to point out some of the featured players in Washington's or in the opposing team's offense. J.D. McKissick, Antonio Gibson, they hold down the run offense side of things. Jahan Dotson and Terry McLaurin, they hold down the passing side of things. But there's other guys that we'll get to as well. This unit, from a coaching standpoint, is led by Scott Turner, which we should be familiar with because he's been there for a few years now. And I often say, man, I think Dallas should take some of Washington's run game concepts. With that said, they're not really doing well on the ground from a consistent basis, right? But nonetheless, they do some things. He's a guy that likes to, it's basically a schemey type of run offense. They want to put you in a bind up front. That's why I think it's going to be very paramount to be disciplined on the interior from a run blocking standpoint. You're going to get a whole lot of motioning, some tight ends moving at snap as the lead blocker. Then a running back might come behind him or a wide receiver might come behind him. So the eyes of the Bohannas, of the Osas, the Tristan Hills, those guys, it's going to be very important for them to remain disciplined. It just is. But like I said, though, man, they haven't really been rushing the ball all that well. They currently rank 24th in yards per game, but more importantly, I know me, I like to use statistics that aren't just volume stats. They're 25th in rush yards per attempt. And that's, if you take out Curtis Samuel's rushes, it goes down. Now, from a talent standpoint, they got, like, Antonio Gibson's talented. J.D. McKissick is talented. They could be problematic, but they're different guys. McKissick's going to be a receiving back. He's not really going to run the ball a lot. He had 50 rush attempts last year, and this year, I believe he only has a handful of them. But what he's going to be is their receiving guy. He was second on the team in receptions last year, and I believe he's top 3 again after week 3. Now, Gibson, he's going to mix it up a little bit more, and his rookie year gave the Cowboys problems, but that's when the Cowboys were one of the worst defenses in Dallas Cowboys history. That's not the case no more, Antonio. It ain't the case, man. But I think that man right there, Curtis Samuels, is a sneaky guy you got to watch out for as a rusher. Now, they're not going to give him the ball 10 times in the game, but he does that jet sweep, and he does that at a high rate. He's averaging 17 yards per game off of it and over 6 yards per carry. So, you can't do that all game, but hey, it can hit you at the wrong time. So that's what their running game looks like. Oh, but that passing offense. We'll get to the wide receivers, but I want to talk about Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is Carson Wentz, and he's Carson Wentzing in Washington. Flat out. Listen, y'all, he got the arm talent. He's got the ability to make a big play because he does the hero ball thing. He can make the throws. He's got that live arm. We all know that. But, man, you want to talk about getting a guy rattled. There ain't many other quarterbacks you can rattle worse than Carson Wentz. He is taking the most sacks in the NFL, as we saw earlier on that visual. 15 sacks. Now, not all of it is Carson's fault. The offensive line has been terrible. But he also puts the ball in harm's way at the third most highest rate in the NFL in regards to turnover-worthy plays. So you can 100% get to Carson Wentz. Right now, he's tied for third in turnovers. And I think the trap coverages, right? I think they give him problems. A ton of problems. And for a scheme, Cowboys Nation, that, the run scheme, I should say, that does a lot of play action, you would think, Carson Wentz and whoever the quarterback is should do well in this play action. He's actually been worse in play action. 2 of those 3 interceptions have come on play action, and he has his worst completion percentage. And when I was watching this Eagles game, it was fun to watch and laugh at Washington. It was annoying to watch that Hargraves do that to that center, knowing that we got to go up and play that. But I'm sitting here watching it, and I'm like, oh my goodness, Carson's eyes are awful. I mean, just terrible. Now, that could be because of the pressure, right? That could be because of that. But there was just so many missed opportunities in that game. So many. I'm not talking about little hooks or little digs or outs. There was more than that. They just completely missed. And again, a lot of that probably had to do with the pass rush. Now, here's the thing. If you can block it up for Carson, it's not like he's deprived of pass catching weapons. We talked about Terry McLaurin. That's the guy that leads this group. He's one of the more underrated dudes in the NFL at wide receiver. He just seems to never be able to catch luck with a quarterback. Now, Carson's supposed to be the best quarterback, and he may be the most talented quarterback, right, that Terry McLaurin has ever had, but he's still Carson Wentz. But Diggs been locking him up over the last few years. Really, ever since he got beat his rookie year. Trayvon Diggs has pretty much put the clamps on him. So, again, that's a matchup that I feel good about. Jahan Dotson, a guy we focused on in the offseason during the draft. Really good young wide receiver. You can't sleep on him. He's been doing well in the red zone, and he's always a threat in general if you put the ball in his hands. They didn't really give him the rock last week, though. Logan Thomas is another underrated weapon at tight end. He usually gives the Cowboys fits, but he's been quiet so far. He only has 8 receptions on 13 targets as we go. So guys like LVE, if J-Ron comes back, J-Ron, they're going to have to make sure they don't lose focus of Logan Thomas because he can give you trouble. But I like the Logan Thomas versus J-Ron Kearse matchup. Logan's not going to beat you with speed. He's going to try to box you out because he's 6'7" or whatever it is. Former quarterback. It's wild because I remember when Logan was a quarterback in the NFL. Now he's a legitimate tight end. And then J.D. McKissick, we have to also mention as a pass catcher, as we did earlier in this breakdown, because he's second on the team, I believe, in reception. So, you know, it might not be Logan Thomas that's a recipient of those routes underneath, but it's definitely J.D. McKissick. And he's a guy that could break one on you. So you got to be careful with him as well. But none of that matters. If we go back here, none of that matters if you can't block. And they can't. And this is what I was talking about earlier in the opening of the show. There's a portion of this defense that hasn't really won off just quite yet, and it's the interior defensive line. The Philadelphia Eagles interior defensive line, I mean, there's admittedly, is it better than Dallas's? Yes. But watching what they did to Washington and then going back and also looking at Detroit, man, they soft. They soft in that middle. Number 71 is toast. He was getting cooked all game. The right tackle was also an issue as well. So if they're going to try to give help over there on DeMarcus Lawrence, if they want to line up Micah Parsons at tackle again, at defense end again, they're going to have to give help to these tackles, which means these interior guys are going to have one-on-one opportunity. So I think this is kind of the breakout game for the Osas and the Nevilles and the Big Bows. I think they're going to have a really good game as long as they can keep Washington behind the sticks. I mean, you don't want to get them into 2nd and 2 and 3rd and 1s and things like that. But passing down situations, I just don't think this offensive line can keep up, man. I just don't. They got him 9 times last week. If Dallas doesn't walk out of here with at least 5 sacks, I guarantee you they'll be in that locker room saying, man, this is a disappointment. And in the run game, they're not going to move you. This ain't the Hogs. Bill Callahan is not there. What they want to do in the run game is get you going one way, bring another guy the other way, misdirection, kind of wall you off. They're not a overly physical offensive line in that aspect. So I just truly think the Cowboys have a massive advantage in this game. And to be frank, even if they do block it up, again, Terry McLaurin, really good wide receiver. John Dotson, a good young wide receiver. I like the Cowboys secondary against their weapons. It's going to be really hard for me to go in each week feeling like this Cowboys defense doesn't have the advantage. Damn sure not this week. With that said, you got to line up, you got to play. But we're just literally talking about what we've seen or what you may have seen or I have seen on tape and what the Cowboys can do. And I just think the Cowboys can continue to make that score go down, actually, from 19, 17, 16. I think they can hold them to right around there. I think they can get some turnovers. I think they can get a lot of sacks. It's another one of those games where they must be licking their chops. And it's Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is still that guy. This isn't, when Mike Vick went away and came back, he was different. Randall Cunningham was young and he got older. He was different. This is still Carson Wentz. The king of the YOLO ball, Carson Wentz. So I like the matchup, Cowboys Nation. All right, so 412. Let's see if you're finally 412. You there?
Years old, and I'm from Pittsburgh, and I love the Dallas Cowboys.
Wow, that's awesome, Grayson. I appreciate the phone call, Grayson. Thank you for watching the show, but aren't you in school?
No, I'm sick today.
Oh, you sick? Wink, wink. Thank you, Grayson, for calling, man. I appreciate you, dog.
You're welcome.
Just never know what you're gonna get here. Is this the so I watched Pat McAfee's show. He gave me some credit. I kind of was in and out with the audio there, but shout out to Grayson. There was a kid that called into the Pat McAfee show, and I thought it was this kid. I was a little nervous. He was about to say what he said on the Pat McAfee show, but I don't know if this was that guy. But go look up Pat McAfee kid cusses. Just Google that. Come back to me. Grayson said, I'm sick. We've been there, Grayson. But if you are sick, get better, buddy. Oh, Grayson. What's up, my Redding brother? How you doing?
Hey, good morning, my brother. How you doing? God bless you and the show and your family, like always, in Cowboy Nation. I want to say, I believe the defense will get to the quarterback, but then also, too, I believe we got to watch out for the screenplays because I think they're going to try to hit us up with a couple of them. And also, I wanted to tell you that you're a good brother because you know that guy that the one that does the other sports show with you, the Spanish guy.
Mauricio, yeah.
I like what he's doing. I forget his name, but I like the way you put him on, and he has kept it up real good. God bless you, bro. You got a good heart.
Thank you, sir. Thank
you.
you.
Anyway, back to what I wanted to say. I believe the defense will do the job. I really do. Well, that's all I got for today. Have a good one. Like always, God bless.
Salute. Appreciate you. Yeah, Mo does great work. Flat out does great work. I'm looking in the chat here. Yes, listen, I'm going to go back and play that. It caught me by surprise. I'm not going to lie to y'all. It caught me by I've had a kid call in before. But I don't know if y'all caught his age. He said he was 5. Whew. Man, that's something. That is something. B Bird always says this is a family-friendly show. Sometimes I go off the rails, but I didn't know it was that family-friendly. I hope Grayson can't read the chat. Right now I do. Like, hey, they love you, Grayson. You are I might have to pull that audio out if I got it because I was in and out and do something with it. But I hope he's not reading the chat in other portions of the show. Cause y'all wow, but what a call. Set it off, Chris. What's good, bro?
Yeah, hey man, I'm just trying to see where Grayson got his phone playing from, man. That dude got it at 5, man. I need to get Grayson's phone playing, yo. Who's signing the babies up that early, man?
Here's what I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna guess his pops or his mom was like, "Hey, I listen to this show as well. Go ahead and call in." Because there's just no way young Grayson is rolling around with the Nextel, right? The clacker, and just coming out the sandbox like, you know what? Let me call in the Sky Show. Nah, probably
Sky Show and got some points, to let him know, man. I'm reading this cover too, and I've been watching. I need, my Manscaped and get my 305 Mafia shirt. You know what I'm saying? Where's my order at?
Yeah, it probably was his pops or his mom. So salute to Grayson's parents. They're raising a very respectful young man.
No doubt. Hey, man, I'm going to be brief. I'm going to get out here. Hey, I was wondering, were you able to ever get with Authentic and the Beard? Because I know because it was back-to-back NFC East teams, that you could have, parlayed that into another venue, man. You know what I'm saying? That's my first thing. That's on a side note, man. But on my other note, we're talking about what the defense is going to do. How do you figure they sprinkle in J-Ron, or not just J-Ron, getting him back in the lineup? How the heck do we get Jabril into the mix, man? Have you thought about that? I know that's something that you go into your lab and get your mad scientist cap on, because I'm not looking at this game because if the team does what they do, they win this game, and we look at them like, okay, you beat the Bengals, who you had a bet that you thought the offensive line was shaky. You knew you were better as a team as a whole, better than the Giants, and we're better than the football Wizards.
Right.
I'm more concerned when you play, the following week. But I'm still going to bring up my boy Pastor Troy, because ain't nobody calling me or texting me or anything if we win this week.
I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to bring it back.
Yeah, we got to bring that back. But my question is, how do you bring J-Ron in, and how do you get Jabril on the field? Because all the depth we're talking about, people coming back, these are some of the pieces that I think it's going to help you down the road. And, man, I'll get off the air and listen, man.
Oh, you can stay. You can stay on and get off. That doesn't matter.
Okay.
But with J-Ron, I don't think it's going to be hard to get J-Ron. You heard Coach Quinn. He said getting him back integrated is nothing. I actually can't wait for that.
Yeah.
I think J-Ron goes right back into the spot he's always been in, and Dono becomes that third safety. Don't get it twisted. We all know Dono's not just a backup. They play that big nickel. It's basically their base. So they're all going to play a lot. But the Jabril one, pay attention to if he's active or inactive this week, Chris.
Right.
Because that will tell us, I think, how they feel about getting him involved moving forward. There's two ways Jabril, I don't want to say two ways, two things to watch over the next couple weeks. Is Jabril Cox active? If he's not, then I don't think he's a guy that they're looking to get going on defense. If he is, mind you, Luke Gifford is still he's back. I mean, he's practicing in a limited fashion. He may play again this week. So if they have Jabril Cox out there and Luke Gifford, I think that's a small little nugget, little note to pay attention to, that maybe they're going to start doing more things, because they did that last year. Jabril Cox was mostly special teams, and then they start sprinkling him in every so often in the defense. The other thing to watch is LVE. The other thing to watch is LVE, because I think, just based off of what I've been watching over the last few games, Anthony Barr just has a handle. Now, he didn't have a great game last week. He missed that tackle. The linebackers were very
in the hole.
They were very sketchy in general in that game. But I think Anthony Barr just looks way more comfortable. He's the guy kind of directing things. He's a little bit. He seems a bit more heady. He just seems a bit more sure. We know he's more physical. So I wouldn't be taking Anthony Barr off of this defense. So if you had to take somebody off, I think it'd be LVE. It wasn't the greatest game for LVE. It wasn't. In the Cincy game, that was more of his game. In the first game, it wasn't a great game. I'm not seeing anything to be like, yo, we can't sit LVE. I'm not seeing that. I'm just not seeing that. So I'm looking at it this way. As long as I got a guy like Anthony Barr and Micah Parsons to kind of handle the cleanup duties in the middle, I'm willing to see if I can get another playmaker out there in Jabril Cox. That's just me. I don't know if they'll do it, but that's me. Set it off, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, I understand, and I can understand what you're saying, because when you're going into these games, because you don't have outside of Hurts, there's not a mobile quarterback that you're worried about kind of beating you. And as long as Bo and Neville and Tristan can keep LV clean, because that's always been his biggest deal, is being able to stay clean so he can move, I think he's fine. But you're right, having another dynamic guy, another piece who can kind of chase people out the backfield, Jabril can do that. That's not something Barr can definitely do. So I was just wondering how we get him on the field, because that's the next piece to making this defense even more explosive and dynamic. With having Jabril, that was my biggest, and I kind of like the way they're bringing it back slowly after a knee injury. So I'm you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't in that situation. But I do like how they're kind of trying to protect him a little bit. So that was just my question, man.
Yeah, a good question. It's a good question because we all kind of want to see what Jabril Cox can do. I mean, he's got just raw ability and athleticism and whatnot. I just wish I had a media pass so I could say, hey, Dan, do you mind elaborating on why it's taking Jabril Cox a little bit longer to get involved here? I don't think anyone is kind of talking about
man, it's between you, Lodge, the YouTube community, and a guy on the national stage like a Dave Hellman is going to get up there and ask those kind of tough questions, because the rest of the guys is out here pitching softballs and making DQ have to elaborate all night long on something that's pertinent, because with the youth that they're doing it, because they don't participate in free agency like they should. You got to get these guys, these second and third and fourth round guys, to come through and produce, and you got to see them making a contribution kind of early.
Right, I agree.
That's what we got to do. But man, I'm gonna get out of the way, man. I'm waiting for my main man, Daddy Savage, with the good call, and listen to Los cuss everybody out the whole nine, man. I'm listening, bro.
Appreciate you, Chris.
I appreciate you both, bro.
Yeah, I'm always looking for a reasonable upgrade in a way. When I say reasonable upgrade, I mean guys who aren't the superstars of the team or the featured guys on the team that are replacement level players. And I look at LVE that way. Not a superstar, not a poor player, but a player that can be upgraded from. So and this could be just me as a fan. I'm curious. Can Jabril be an upgrade? Only way we know is if you put him in. That's the only way we know defensively. Now, I think maybe Dan might be looking at this thing like, okay, we're fine anyway, like 19 points, 17 points, 16 points. So it's not like LVE is this detriment that's costing the Cowboys. But I'm just saying, if you're going to lean on the ground and you're going to lean on this defense, I want to be great. I want to be great. And it wasn't a great game from the linebacking group on Monday. Was it a poor one? It had some poor moments, but it wasn't a great one altogether. I think the interior did their job. I think the ends did their job. The DBs missed some tackles, but the middle of that defense, they didn't carry over what they did against Cincinnati. Hey, you're not going to be perfect every week. Let's see if they bounce back, because they're going to have to be disciplined this week. This ain't an amazing rushing attack for Washington, but it's an attack where they use a lot of misdirection. And the Cowboys have been better against it this year. Last year, they were the worst team when teams did misdirection at snap. When I say misdirection, I mean motioning wide receivers across the line of scrimmage or getting a tight end going. That's all Washington. Washington can't line up. They knew they couldn't line up and move Jordan Davis and Javon Hargraves and Fletcher Cox. They couldn't do that. I don't think they're going to be able to line up and move Bohanna and Osa and Neville. Now, the other group is better, but this ain't no slouch of a group. So they're going to be doing a lot of things up front to try to get these boys confused, which means LVE and Anthony Barr have to be on par. Bars. They got to be on par. This is true, Peter said. We're operating on a short week. I just hope we come out motion and intensity. Make sure y'all check out the Cowboys 4th and Long podcast. Should be out sometime today. We actually talked about that, me and Jesse. Let's not forget, this is a team coming off of back-to-back losses, so they're going to come out desperate in this game. It's a division game. They just lost a division game. Cowboys just won one. So they're going to come out desperate. Excuse me. We have to match that intensity. 3, 2, 1. What it is, what it do.
Hey, what's up, Sky?
What's up with you? Who this?
Lamont. I haven't called in a live show in a while. That's because I've been working in the evenings a lot. But
all good.
I got a question to ask you. It's about kind of like what the last caller called about. So going into next year, would you be willing to bring back an Anthony Barr at the right price?
It's real early on that one, Lamont. I personally like the thoughts of Micah Parsons, Jabril Cox, Damone Clark, Harper. I honestly don't mind throwing in a veteran in that mix. I mean, if you can get him back, what he's playing on $2 million, sure. But at that point, I don't want him to be a progress stopper.
Gotcha. Then that's actually what I wanted to get to, was the question between Damone Clark and Jabril Cox. How do you think they'll play them on the field with Micah Parsons?
Well, I think Damone Clark can be a middle guy. He can free up Micah to kind of rover around and move around. Micah can play the middle. But I think Jabril is more of a will type of dude. And Damone, he wants to smoke. I would love to just let Damone be in that middle and let him handle those duties. And he's a smart kid, too, while Micah can kind of move around. Hell, you never know. Next year, they mess around and move Micah down full time. Right? Like, we're not against that at some point in his career. It's just that last year and this year, we weren't sure what the linebacking group was going to be like. But next year, they might just say, screw it. We got 3 athletic backers in Devin Harper and Jabril Cox and Damone Clark that we have confidence in to hold it down. And let's just let Micah just wreak havoc at defensive end. Now, that makes it easier to take him out. But at the end of the day, an elite pass rusher, we will never, ever, ever say is less than of a linebacker guy. But I if you're going to do that, then yeah, I mean, Anthony Barr for $2 million, sure, why not? As long as he's not progress stopping guys. As long as if he's the guy that they're using, he's outplaying the other dudes. Got no problem with it.
I hear you. And I forgot to mention this the other day when I was on the phone with you. You know, I thought about it, and I think the reason why Cooper Rush is comfortable playing right now is because most of the players he's playing with are backups. And he's been practicing for like the last 2 years with most of these players. Outside of the rookie tight ends, you know, he's used to playing with Steele. He's used to playing with Tyler Smith in training camp, Forniak.
So you mean the offensive line,
Brown.
or you mean the wide receivers?
Just as a whole, like there's only a few starters from last year that he's not used to playing with, like Zach Martin and Tyler Biadasz. But
I don't think
that,
I don't think there's a correlation with the backup quarterback in the O line, but the receivers, yes. And I think that's why you see Noah Brown and him clicking, because they were on the practice squad, they were on the backup units, and we let's not forget he is a 6-year pro, so it's not like he's a rookie. So he does have experience playing with Noah Brown, but I mean, CeeDee Lamb is not a backup. Tobert's a rookie. The tight ends and Schultz, they weren't here last year, so it's not like he's playing with a whole bunch of pass catchers that he played with last year besides Noah Brown. Well, CeeDee Lamb, too. I guess CeeDee Lamb, he played in that Washington game. But I mean from a backup standpoint.
Yeah, I just really hope that they continue to want to just, gel with Cooper until Dak gets back. And I hope that Dak doesn't feel the need to rush himself back, because you don't need to re-injure yourself and just to want to,
If he tried to play this week, I think that would be rushing it. It looks like he's not trying to. He understands what's going on here. And I think the more wins that you can get with Cooper Rush, the more room you have to say, hey, as long as your hand, is not ready to go, just take your time. The last thing you wanted to do in this situation is we're losing these games, and now they're like, hey, Dak, your hand's fine, right? Can you get out there? And now Dak's like, I got the pressure. Let me go out there and do it. Take your time.
Exactly. All right, bro. That's all I had.
Good call, man. Appreciate you.
All right.
Yeah. Playing with Noah is definitely showing in that aspect. But that's about it from a backup. I mean, the first week it was, who was it? Dennis Houston. Second week, too, I think it was. No, Dennis Houston, he wasn't here last year. Lamb was a starter. Schultz was a starter. These rookie tight ends weren't here. Turpin is new. There's a lot of new guys. I think it's why the first game you saw the connection with Noah the way you saw it. He is. AJ says, I can't wait to see CD, Gallup, Washington, Brown, and Turpin on the field. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know who you left off, AJ, which I find so interesting? Jalen Tolbert. I mean, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So would Tolbert be 6? Are they not going to go 6? October thing is going to be really interesting. Do y'all mind if I think too far ahead? I don't like to do that. We like to stay week to week, but just thinking out loud. CeeDee Lamb's here for the foreseeable future. Michael Gallup's here for the foreseeable future. There is a clear love for Noah Brown, and credit to him. He's taking this opportunity and showing, hey, man, I can do more things if you allow me to do that. So salute to him. Let's say Noah Brown finishes this thing with 500-600 yards, similar to a Cedric Wilson situation. 3, 4, 5 touchdowns, right? I don't think I don't know. Cedric Wilson did get paid. Do you bring back Noah Brown? Or do you and this is something that we shouldn't even be talking about, to be honest. So my bad. This is something that you talk about next year. I think Steven would be like, no, this is why we drafted Jalen Tolbert. And obviously Jalen has to have a shot to prove himself. But just reading off of that, Gallup, Lamb, Washington, who's going to be back, Noah, and Turpin's not sitting down. There's a chance, if there's no injuries, that Jalen Tolbert just is not involved at all this year. Maybe he's a guy that doesn't dress once these guys return. So now you go into next year not knowing what you have in Jalen Tolbert, but knowing that Noah can still be a glue guy as a 3, 4, 5 wide receiver. Just thinking out loud, man. Just thinking out loud. Jeremy said, with Curse out, who is wearing the green dot on defense? This man.
This still ain't our level. Take that up another notch, bro. This is what's probably gonna happen, bro. They probably gonna do hurry up offense right here in tempo. Yep. That's the only way they can stay in this and get plays. So we got to get on the ball, get lined up, and really focusing on the details, communicate. And first, and most of all, bro, we got to tackle. That's it. Whatever y'all do best, do it. Yep.
That's the guy wearing the green dot right now. I just love this save. Dono, Hooker, and J-Ron, I think, are ridiculous compliment to each other. Ridiculous. Keep those boys around as long as you can. Interesting. Remember in the offseason, we talked about, hey, who do you want to get in front of? Usually the Cowboys do that. The two players on my list, Donovan Wilson, who didn't, he's in a contract year, and Terrence Steele. I was having this conversation on Twitter, I think with Tuck. Shout out to Tuck if he's in the building. He was like, hey, man, Terrence Steele keeps he's having a great year, by the way. If he keeps having a good year, he's going to want the money. I was like, I know. That's why I was saying pay him in March, April, May, and get in front of it for cheap. But I think the way they're looking at it is to go even cheaper. He's a restricted free agent. So next year they can just go ahead and slap the restricted tag on Terrence and let him play out his restricted deal and then come back to the table afterwards or in the middle of the season. So I think they're trying to go ultra cheap at that point. But you're looking at a guy, how old is Terrence? 25? 24, so whatever. He's young. You're going to eventually have to pay quality tackles. He's a guy I would have paid. Dono. This was before, I can't remember if Malik got signed and I can't remember if this was before or after. But I was looking at Dono as a potential guy to get on another cheap Jeff Heath type of deal. Jeff Heath was making like something like $3.5 million a year. It's not a lot, relatively speaking. But he was another guy. Especially if Dan Quinn's going to be here and he utilizes 3 safeties. I don't think we can overlook that. Now they went out and got Marquise Bell, and they still got Izzy. So the odds of that happening are pretty slim to none. But hey, man, both of these dudes, Terrence Steele and Donovan Wilson, are playing well. There's some good ball. They playing some good ball. Eagles are trash, said, our safeties are the best in the NFL as a group, not even close. Some people would say the Bills, but outside their all-pro starters, they didn't make the Pro Bowl. That didn't make the Pro Bowl somehow as all pros, but they have no depth. Hold on, both of the Bills safeties are all pros? I mean, if both of them are all pros, that's kind of tough to be like, yeah. But you might be right, Eagles are trash. I haven't looked around the league at safeties. I know there's other individual guys that may be better than an individual player on the Cowboys, but the top 3 dudes in Dallas combined for how they play in this defense, the role they have in this defense with Dan Quinn, I love it. Best safety group in the NFL. I like it. We're going to make that the fan-focused comment of the morning. Of course, presented by Boston Scientific. ED can affect your self-esteem and impact your most important relationships. So take a free online assessment that you can share with your doctor. Click the ad in the description for more information. There's a permanent, satisfying solution to treat ED. Again, just click the ad or visit edcure.org. Sponsored by Boston Scientific.
You're listening to A to Z Sports.
Grayson's wearing the green dot.
At some
Hilarious.
point, hoping to broadcast
In front of the millions.
of Cowboys fans to bring you the real. But for now, strap up and here's your host, Skywalker Steele.
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you. We'll do it live.
Shout out to Grayson, man. Grayson called in.
Say, man, I enjoy this show.
I said, Grayson, ain't you in school?
I'm sick, dog.
Shout out to Grayson. That's a first. But that's the age of my youngest son. That's wild. I'm honored though. Sweater vest guy. I'm honored. What y'all got, man? We on good time. We on good time today. That was Sky when he was Grayson's age. You know what's funny about that, King Element? I have never seen Benjamin Button. I've heard that joke plenty of times about, because I have the baby face and all that stuff. But I've never seen it. Never seen it. Yo, wow. All right, this is the portion of the show. We're going to hit the chat and we're going to roll out. So send in the questions and let's move on, man. Let's move on. Oscar, teacher, time to learn your ABCs. Grayson, bump that. I need to learn cover 2 from Sky. Oh, Lord. I feel like I got to watch what I say now. You know what I mean? And I try to. Like, I hope he wasn't here yesterday when old boy was acting off all weird in the chat and I had to do him like I hope he wasn't here yesterday. I really hope he don't watch Vach's show.
Hulk Hogan, we coming for you.
That's trouble. I'm gonna leave these lines open for about 5 more minutes. 351-999-3787. If you missed the early portion of the show, we talked about why Malik Hooker deserved to get that plate from the cookout. And we also featured the the Washington offense. We discussed the guys that we need to look out for. J.D. McKissick, Antonio Gibson, Jahan Dotson, and Terry McLaurin. Listen, man. Jesse's 6'3". He's not a little dude. Plot twist, Sky and Grayson the same age.
I'm a man. I'm 40.
Stop. Trick love kid. It looked like we're not gonna do no football. We're gonna go in on this Grayson thing. Thank you, Los. Save us, Los. What's good, brother?
Yo, good morning, Sky. I just want to make a quick point. Same thing I told Law yesterday, and I wanted to give your thoughts on this, all right? So let me say this about the quarterback. It's like the chicken and the egg. We can say a great coach can work with an okay quarterback, talented enough to win you games, And we can also say a great quarterback can overcome coaching deficiencies, right? So my point is, Dak has always been a great quarterback for us in our system. Let's say our system has always been, let's say, not the greatest. But week 1, game plan has been night and day for week 2 and week 3. And that's because Khaled had no choice but to change his philosophy because, like, he had all eyes on him. So I just want to know where this offensive responsibility fell on, with Kellen. Do you think he's going to be able to keep overcoming these defenses or, anything that goes our way? And I just want to get your thoughts on that, Sky. And great coaching.
Wait. Before you go, I'm not sure your question. Can you just ask your question?
Go ahead, Scott. I can hardly hear. My bad.
I could hardly understand what your question was. So before you hang up, I don't know what your question is. Can you say it again?
Oh, so my question is, do you think Kellen will continue to open up his basically the play calling? Because like you said, last week he was basically scheming guys open.
Yeah.
And I just want to see will he continue his trajectory with this, or do you think he was going to come back to earth week 5 with the Rams and, such forth? Because that's my worst nightmare to happen. Okay. And I'll leave you with that side.
Okay. I appreciate you, Los. Hey, it's going to depend on this man. Flat out. I don't have my slap button, but I'm about to get one because me and Jesse came up with this thing where I think what's going to have to happen is McCarthy already has his foot on Kellen's neck. He needs to continue to have it there, right? Monday through Saturday, his foot's on his neck. On game day, he probably lets loose a little bit because he's a walk-around head coach. But then there's those weird times where Kellen Moore glitches and you got to You're not doing that. And I think for the most part, he's corralled Kellen Moore. You don't see any more razzle-dazzle double reverses. We're not seeing any of that. Right? We're seeing a more balanced approach. And it's not because, we're checking in and out of plays. No. This is a determined effort to get Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott the ball. That's part of the game plan. Clearly. So I think it's going to take him, Mike McCarthy, when Kellen gets to a 3rd-and-1 situation to ice the game, to put his hand down, get off of that trigger, and just do what's been working. Don't get cute. See, when Noah Brown was being held, and I don't know if this is true, I'm just guessing, and you saw Kellen Moore, come on, man, what the heck? Something along the lines. You know how Kellen ain't going to cuss. It's malarkey. I don't know if he talks like that. But Mike McCarthy was in the back. Mike McCarthy was pissed. And I don't think it had anything to do with Noah Brown being held. I think Mike McCarthy was like, Kellen, now see, I was about to get, you know when you go to the doctors, you leave, you get allowed. I was about to give you a treat. And you go and pull that mess. And he got upset a little bit. I think he was upset at the call, to be honest. I do. I could be completely wrong. I'm just going to roll with it. So, as long as Mike McCarthy is able to corral Kellen Moore on game day, if he feels like he's getting away from it, happened in Cincy. There was a point in that game. I'm like, relax, Kellen. Why you got Cooper throwing so damn much in this game? It wasn't as sweet as it was in the first 2 possessions. And we saw a couple of those plays. Relax. Go back to what was working. So, fortunately, it didn't happen until the very end of the game. But also, unfortunately, it was a tight game. And it could have cost him a little bit. So, it's Kellen, as long as the game plan is what it's been over the last few weeks and they continue to improve on it, I think he'll be fine. But he ain't out the woods yet. Right? Like we ain't out the woods yet. Oh, we got Danny Macho Man Randy Savage. What's up, Danny?
Hey, yo. Good morning, Sky. Good morning. You caught me at a good time. I'm not riled up yet. I haven't had my coffee yet.
Well, we offer back-to-back wins, so I don't foresee you being too upset today.
Listen, we accomplished our goal. We won with a backup quarterback, but we still beat a team that's going to have a top 5 draft pick next year.
Sure, you handle business. That's how you got to look at it, right? Like you handle business.
And the one thing that I'm fuming about, and I don't know if anyone else has brought it up this week, I thought Kellen should have been fired Monday night because with 2 minutes left in the game, after 2-minute warning versus a team with 0 timeouts left, on 3rd down, attempting a pass, when you could have ran off 40 seconds, you could have ran the ball, ran off 40 seconds more of the clock, and then kicked the ball off to a team with no timeouts with 1 minute and 10 seconds left. Instead, we attempt a pass, and I think Hendershot goes out of bounds, which not even his fault. He's a rookie, and he never even should have been put in position.
You know what? That you're absolutely right. That was another situation where
Sky, let me tell you, we kicked that ball off to a good team with 1 minute and 50 seconds left. We lose that game. That's a horrible.
I think you're growing on a stretch, Danny. They would have went down and tied it. The game wasn't going to be over.
Okay, but when you got the game in your pocket and 40 seconds, that's a long. You give an Aaron Rodgers. I ain't saying Danny Dimes is an Aaron Rodgers. You give an Aaron Rodgers 40 seconds. That's like 4 minutes to him. But that was how do you make that mistake? That mistake versus a much better team, they would have went down the field. Think about it.
You're not wrong. You're not you're not wrong. Sometimes though, in those situations, I wonder, and this is something I would ask. Maybe they won't tell you. I wonder in those situations, was the call, hey, we're going to. I think it was an action, right? Was it a play action, Danny?
Say it again.
Was it a play action on that play?
I don't even think so. To be honest with you.
I can't remember. So I wonder. I'm just conversating with you here. If the call was, hey, get it to the tight end right away, and the tight end needs to fall down in bounds. He didn't get it to the tight end right away. Cooper Rush kind of kept floating and floating, and that tight end is floating and floating, and then he finally threw it to him, and then the tight end doesn't fall down. His momentum carries him, and tries to jump, and he goes out of bounds. Number one, that's not good. The second part, I wonder, again, if the play design is, hey, if it's not there right away, just fall down and take the sack. Stay in bounds, keep the clock running. That didn't happen. So I'm just trying to play devil's advocate to the situation. I don't like the call in general. I'm with you because, hey, just run the ball, try to get a first. If you don't, clock runs, punt it. But sometimes there will be that action in the play design where, hey, if it's not there, you just fall down, get what you can get, and we'll keep the clock rolling. So I'm wondering if that was part of it because it makes no sense to, I believe, on the short side of the field, have a tight end run full speed out of bounds and then throw it to him after a few seconds. That makes no sense. Makes no sense.
It made zero sense. That's a call somebody has to get screamed at. These guys are professionals, and I laugh. They all sit in the room and say, oh, yeah, that was a good call. That was a great idea. You should be fired. That goes. I guarantee you, if Dallas would have kicked off, Giants scored a touchdown, Giants win that game, they're getting roasted for that. They get roasted for that the entire week. But listen, it didn't happen, so whatever. Micah looked like he had COVID plus some pneumonia plus a few other things, but he just looked like he was giving it his all, but he wasn't there. He was like, you could just tell he was sick. So hopefully he's better this week, and we play Washington. So
yeah, he definitely was sick, and he still was doing some ridiculous things for a guy who he said I was only about 60%. He's not human.
No, I believe it. I think he had a half a tackle. He had some pressures, but cost me a bet, you know what I'm saying? But that's a whole nother story. You know what I'm saying? He should have had a sack, but he didn't. He should have had a few sacks, but he didn't. But once again, great content as always. you and Voch later on, 306, but by me it's 406. Listen to you guys later on. Once again, great call, as always. You know?
Great call, Danny.
Later on, Sky. Later.
I underestimated my guy, Danny. I said, there's no way. Come off back-to-back dubs. There's no way you're going to be upset. Danny said, what? Shit. Yeah, Sky, I saw your breakdown of how Kellen Moore called a fantastic game and it was dialing things up and got guys open. But that damn 3rd and 1 and the other pass, the hell with Kellen. Two things can be true. He called a fantastic game. And he had 2 brain farts. So that's why I say this man has to ring him in a little bit. It's like I feel like Kellen fights himself. Who wins that day? The devil or the angel? The devil to Kellen is the guy that wants to run the ball. Hey, we're gonna stick to the game plan with Coach said. Kellen's angel. Hey, but I'm telling you, if you play action pass it right here on 3rd and 1, it's gonna be wide open. Devil, but if you run it, the game's over. I know, but got a chance for a big play. That's where Mike got to come in and shut all that down. Nonetheless, there's a lot to build off of for Kellen, y'all. He ain't out the woods just yet, but there's a lot to build off of. Kellen versus Kellen. Facts. No, where's the super chat? Okay, so that's why I was laughing. Let me get to these super chats. Hilarious. And then we out of here. Ooh, almost pressed the wrong button.
Super chat.
Appreciate you, Eagles are trash. He said, how many sacks we get this Sunday? Minimum 5. But I'm going to go 6. 6 sacks this week. That's crazy. We just throwing that around. 6 sacks. But Dallas, that's what they're doing, man.
Super chat.
Daryl Thorpe, $2 donation. Thank you, sir. And then King Element, you are a wild dude.
Super chat.
He said, thanks a lot, Deron. Because of you, Grayson asked his mama, Mammy, what's reptile dysfunction? Yo. Listen, I grew up on the Rugrats, and that just reminds me of Tommy and them, not being able to pronounce things. What's reptile dysfunction? Yo, that is gold. That is gold. Reptile dysfunction.
Oh my goodness.
Oh God. That's it. What else y'all want? Because that's it for me. Oh my goodness. Reptile dysfunction. Y'all remember the episode? Never mind, I ain't gonna talk about it. But one episode does stick out to me from there. When I think it's Chucky thought that if you ate a watermelon seed, a watermelon will grow your stomach. Hilarious. Just a genius show, by the way. Stop, King Element. Quit. Y'all gotta stop this in this chat, man. Shout out to old Grayson. Captain said Wentz has the pocket awareness of a blind man. Yo, we were just talking about that yesterday with Jesse on the 4th and Long podcast. Yes, he does. Old Jelly Wild. Yo, y'all crazy, man. We done? We good? Listen, let's get up out of here. Do me a favor on the way up out of here. Hit the like button if y'all enjoyed the show. If y'all enjoyed the laughs that King Element in the chat have given y'all. Ain't me. Run this back if you missed it. We broke down the Washington offense and where I think the Cowboys can just have a ridiculous advantage. We're going to continue that breakdown later on. I'm pretty sure my guy, Mauricio Rodriguez, is going to break down more of this game. It's his final episode of the week. And then you'll find me back on the YouTube, on the volume with my guy, Voch Lombardi Live. We'll be breaking, in fact, on Voch Lombardi Live, we're going to be breaking down everything. Tomorrow, and I don't know who it was. I think it was set off Chris. I might have to reach out to the Beard from Authentic and the Beard because he's a Washington football people fan and content creator. Maybe I'll see if I can get him to call in. Tomorrow, we're going to look at the Cowboys offense against the Washington defense. So today, I'm going to jump in the lab and look at that as well. So make sure y'all come on back, man. Make sure y'all come on back. Hilarious. It's hilarious. Let me get up out of here. Love y'all to pieces. Hit me up on Twitter. At Skywalker Still. Shout out to our sponsors, Boston Scientific, the Cochran Firm, and DFW Turf. Y'all keep this place rated R. Grayson, don't read the chat, but thank you for calling in. Appreciate y'all. We out here. Peace.
Bye!